Good evening, and welcome to Direct Impact Broadcasting, the station of growth and transformation. Affiliate of Creative Broadcasting presents Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson, with your host, Tywauna Wilson, as she welcomes her guest to the studio.
Welcome to Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson. I am your host, Tywauna Wilson. A little bit about myself. I am your award-winning leadership maven, medical laboratory scientist by background, best-selling author, owner and chief leadership coach at Trendy Elite Coaching and Consulting Services, executive director with the John Maxwell team, Maxwell Disc Certified Consultant, Send Out Cards referral partner, and co-owner of Direct Impact Broadcasting radio station. Before we bring on my special guest, I am excited to announce Direct Impact Broadcasting's new radio station affiliate, Envision Broadcasting, launching May 1st. Additionally, I am excited to announce the Trendy Elite 8-week Empowerment Tribe program that will also be launching in May. Stay tuned for more details about both of these endeavors. Thank you to my media mentors, Ms. Ashley Little and Ms. Kimberly McLemore of Talk Radio TV Network, LLP. And last and certainly not least, happy Medical Laboratory Professionals Week to all my fellow lab professionals for all the hard work and dedication to the healthcare team. Today's special guest and my fellow medical laboratory scientist colleague, Ms. Tiffany Channer. Tiffany is a technical supervisor for One Blood Incorporated at Tampa General Hospital in Tampa, Florida. She honed her skill and knowledge of blood banking at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MSKCC, in New York, New York, where she completed her 9-year tenure as Blood Bank Educational Lead Medical Technologist 3 and Safety Officer. Ms. Channer's passion, dedication, and advocacy towards education and community outreach spans since her years of undergraduate at Stony Brook University. During her undergraduate studies, she was a C-STEP mentor where she educated students of neighboring urban areas of medical laboratory science. In 2007, her acts of leadership and advocacy awarded her 4 Extinguished Awards upon graduation, after which she was granted a life-altering opportunity of being an American Society for Clinical Pathology, ASCP, President, Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR Initiative Consultant in Swaziland, Africa. In Swaziland, she taught proper phlebotomy and laboratory safety techniques to personnel in the medical industry. This experience compelled her to pursue a master's in public health with a concentration in health policy and management and a graduate certification in global health. Channer graduated from New York Medical College May 2013 and has used her knowledge of management to engage and inspire her staff. Upon return from Swaziland, Channer was employed by the prestigious Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. After being employed at MSKCC for 4 years, her commitment to patient care and community outreach was recognized. In 2011, she was awarded with the Medical Laboratory Scientist of the Year Award for the Transfusion Medicine Department. Her work shows testament to her devotion towards clinical laboratory science. She taught rotating clinical laboratory science students and doctoral fellows theory and technical facets of transfusion medicine. In accomplishing her duties as the blood bank education lead, Ms. Channer strives for all students to understand the impact of laboratory medicine influences patient care. Channer recruits for the clinical laboratory science profession. As the American Society for Clinical Pathology chair-elect for the Council of Laboratory Professionals, patient champion advisory board member, and career ambassador, she educates, informs, and inspires students, seasoned scientists, and individuals within the STEM field of ASCP and its importance to the field. In Ms. Channer's spare time, she continues to support her passion for the community service and laboratory science by conducting presentation at local high schools in the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg area. Her service and dedication have awarded her with accolades she's most humbled to receive. At the 2012 ASCP annual meeting, she was awarded the ASCP Regional Member Award for the Northeast region. In 2015, Ms. Channer was honored as one of ASCP's top 5 40 under 40 future leaders of pathology and laboratory medicine. These honors were acknowledged by her alma mater, Stony Brook University, being a 2015 Stony Brook University Alumni Association 40 under 40 nominee. In 2016, she awarded the Network Journal's 40 under 40 Achievement Award. Last but certainly not least, Emerge Magazine, the spring 2019 edition, featured Channer alongside her fellow clinical laboratory sciences colleagues as Outstanding Woman in STEM. Channer expresses how this moment was monumental for her. She is grateful for the opportunity and hopes to pass along the opportunity to other rising women in the future. Ms. Channer is extremely flattered for these distinctions, but truly believes only through her formative education at Stony Brook University and New York Medical College has allowed her to receive such recognition. Channer lives by a Nelson Mandela quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Her love of education permeates through her acts of service and hopes to inspire and encourage future scientists to enter a field unfamiliar to many. With that, hello, Tiffany. How are you doing this evening?
Hello, Tywauna. I'm going to have to pay you some money for that intro. Wow. I would give myself a job with that. Wow. Thank you so much for having me on your program tonight. I'm so honored.
I am so happy and excited to have you here. And when people have those bios, you work for every single word on that page. So it was really my honor to read it all to our listening audience. So I'm happy to have thank you. I'm happy to have my fellow sister scientists here during Medical Laboratory Professionals Week, where we're going to talk a little bit about what we do and your journey to leadership. So let's jump right into it. So can you tell the listeners about your path to laboratory science and how did you get to where you are today, being a top 40 under 40 laboratory leader?
So what's so crazy is that my story is a little bit different, but kind of similar to many medical laboratory scientists that I've met. It was by accident that I fell into this field. I was a biochemistry major at Stony Brook University, and my major, I wanted to be a biochemist making makeup for MAC. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to come out with the new spring pop-in color, the pink, the orange. I wanted to do that. And Stony Brook University had a program where it was affiliated with Estee Lauder to do an internship. So I said, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. And then, of course, the lovely course of organic chemistry, you know that course. Organic chemistry said, oh, yeah, we'll see how you're going to do this. So, I studied real hard. I didn't party. I really studied for the exam, for my midterm. And I went to the midterm, and I swear it was German. I don't speak German, and I didn't understand what was on that test. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I was so distraught, and, my parents, they're actually Jamaican, and I was like, what am I going to tell my Jamaican mother? What am I going to tell her that I'm going to drop out of school and become a plumber because this is not going to work? I was just distraught. And out of walking from the exam, God so have it that I'm walking through an academic fair on campus, and I don't even know it. And it was a professor from the program that I guess she saw the disdain on my face and was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." And I started to bawl. And I told her I took my orgo class and I failed and I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was like, "Oh, my gosh, what's your major?" And I said, "Biochemistry." And she said, "Well, have you ever heard of clinical laboratory sciences?" And I swear to you, in that moment, it's like the tears just dried up. And I was like, you guys write me all the time, and I never pay attention. What do you got? And she went into everything about the field and all of the opportunities that's available to you. When you come straight out of school, you can have 5 jobs if you want. Everybody wants you, and I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah." And, there are clinical laboratory scientists that work for the NIH. They work for the CDC. And she said CDC. And I was like, "What? I want to do that." So I went online. I went to my dorm, went online, and I researched about the field. And I was like, "Oh, my gosh, this is wonderful." She told me about the informational sessions that they were having and how I should attend. And then, of course, she said, "Oh, by the way, that organic chemistry class, you got to pass it because it's a prerequisite to get in the program." I said, "I'm going to do my best. I'm going to pass it." So I went to the informational session, and they actually had us make a tour. And I saw students in the lab, and they were in their white lab coats, and they were streaking Petri dishes, and they just looked so professional. And I was like, that could be me. That could be me. So they, and at the time they were looking at Giardia, and the organism actually moved under the microscope, and I saw it, and I was sold. I was done. I was like, "I'm going to pass organic, and I'm going to get in the program." And once you set your mind to something, trust me, it will happen. So I got into the program, and I swear to you, my life just changed. It changed. Of course, being in the program is not easy. Everybody will tell you. It's all sciences. There were 2 long years of my life, but I learned so much, and I'm very, very grateful for it. And after I graduated Stony Brook, I had the opportunity to go to Memorial Sloan Kettering. But my journey to Memorial Sloan Kettering is non-conventional, too. As everyone knows, MSKCC is prestigious. You say, "Oh, I worked at Memorial Sloan," and the looks on everybody's face is like, "Ooh, wow." Don't get me wrong, the place does deserve that prestige, it's like home for me. But it was during my spring break. I was laying in my bed, and I was like, "You know what, Tiffany, you're about to graduate in 4 months. All your fellow students, they're going to be a competition. You're sitting here in bed in your spring break. You don't have any money to go to Cancun. So what are you doing to set yourself up for 4 months?" And I said, "That's a good question," right? So I said, "You know what? I'm going to pound the pavement." So I went on my computer, had resume paper, made up a resume, printed it out, put on some professional clothes, and I just went down to New York City and went to about 3 or 4 hospitals that day. And I was very bold. I went to Memorial Sloan, and the security guard that saw me, he was like, I look professional, so he was like, "Ma'am, how can I help you?" And I said, "Where's your laboratory?" And he said, "Oh, upstairs, 3rd floor." Okay, so I get to the 3rd floor, and I can read, and you can see what office, who's in what office. And I saw Mrs. Barbara Riley. She was the transfusion medicine manager. And I said, "Okay, I guess that's 302. Okay, that's who I want." So I went to her office, and her secretary's name is Sean. Sean was like, "Hi, how can I help you?" And I said, "I'm here to see Mrs. Riley." And she said, "Okay, is she expecting you?" And I said, "No, she's not." Right? She looked on her schedule. She don't see anything. She said, okay, have a seat. So I had a seat. She went to Barbara's office, and she said, Barbara, I'm sorry, what's your name again? Tiffany Channer. She goes, Tiffany Channer's here to see you? Of course, Barbara's face is like, what? I don't know who that is. And she said, I don't know. She said, okay, give me 5 minutes. So gave her 5 minutes. She said, okay, Mrs. Riley will see you. I went into the office. I shook her hand with confidence, and I said, hi, Mrs. Riley. My name is Tiffany Channer. I go to Stony Brook University, and I will be graduating in 4 months, and I just want to know what Memorial Sloan can do for me. She sat there, and she was like, wow, right? She said, have a seat. And we had such a great conversation. She went from salary to parking. She told me everything about the organization. And she said, it's 4 months from now, and unfortunately at this point I do not have a position open, but you never know what can happen in 4 months. So she said, here's my card. Here is the recruiter's contact information. When 4 months come, you give them a call, and we'll see what happens. So I did, and the recruiter was stunned. Come to find out, Mrs. Riley is not one to easily please. So she was stunned. She was very impressed. And the first question she asked me, what was my GPA? And I said, a 3.2. And she was like, okay, we can go on to the rest of questions. So that's why I usually tell students that just having your degree and, you're going to be a clinical lab scientist as long as you pass your ACT, nobody's going to ask you your GPA. That is not true. That is not true. If, my GPA wasn't of standard, she would not have gone on with the interview. So I do try to tell everyone, try to at least have a 3,
Right.
So, so after that, I came in for an interview, and I got the job. But at that time, I told Barbara Riley, and I said, I'm actually going to go to Africa for 2 weeks with ACP. And she was like, oh, wow, yeah, tell me how that is. She was very supportive. And it's very important to have a mentor. And she was really that for me at that point. But it started at Stony Brook with my mentor, Kathleen Finnegan. Through her, that's how I got the opportunity to go to Africa. So,
wow.
Mentors are important.
What you shared is so powerful. I have to recap just on that, because one of my media mentors, Miss Ashley Little, she's always saying, shoot your shot. Yeah. And that's exactly what you did. It was like, I'm getting ready to graduate. I'm going to go out here and find me a job. I'm going to go out here and knock on every door until they let me in. And that's kind of what what Cedric LaFleur, he's a former med tech, he was on last week, and that's one of the things that he was saying. You can either live life or you wait around and see what happens, and you just kind of went out there and said, hey, here's my resume, I'm graduating in 4 months, what do you have? And if half the students went out like that and were bold about getting a job or really forward about trying to move their career, they would be a lot better off. I see a lot of students that come into the job being a hiring manager that don't even know what skills they bring. So listening audience is a laboratory or otherwise. Just take that in, how Tiffany went out and found that opportunity, and she made it happen. They didn't even have an opening, but they created an opening for her. So sometimes you have to bring your own seat to the table. So
most definitely. And what was crazy was in our it wasn't even an interview. It was just a conversation with Mrs. Riley. She said to me, she looked at me. She goes, I'm going to be very frank with you. This went well. I'll never forget. He said, this went well, but this could have gone real left, right? And I said, I understand that. And I appreciate you taking time out to have this conversation with me. However, me staying at home in the Bronx, just, doing nothing, maybe studying, watching television, just wasting away, I wouldn't have known. So I tell people, you won't know unless you try.
Right.
I said, and that's what I said to her. I said, I wouldn't have known unless I tried. So if you told me no, okay, you told me no. Such is life. But I can say that, you know what? I tried.
Right. And if you don't try, the answer is always
no. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I started at Stone, and then I went from Tech Zero, and that was funny. Tech Zero. So many people say to me, Tech Zero, what is that? So in other words, I passed the ASCP, which is my certification, but I did not have my New York State license. Now, New York, you have to be licensed in order to work. Not every state has that has that requirement, but New York is one. So I didn't have my license yet because waiting on paperwork, and you know how that can be. But I passed my ASCP. So they hired me as a Tech Zero, and I advanced all the way up to Tech 3, which is like assistant supervisor and in charge of education. And I love it. I loved it so much. Just to see like these brand new faces, they're so green. They're like, please just let me pass. Just let me pass. I remember my second student of all time. She was so terrified when she started her blood bank rotation. And every student that I have, the first day I give you a quiz. Yes, people say I'm mean. I know. I give you a quiz. But the reason I give you a quiz is so that I know where you are. So I got to, so that I can know how deep I got to go. You understand? Mm-hmm. It's just an assessment. And poor thing, she got like 5 out of 10, and she was bawling. She said, it's not my strong suit. But to me, it was a challenge. I said, no. This is great, honey. We have a lot to build on. This is going to be so much fun, I promise you. Do you know today she's in an SBB program? Today.
And that for our listeners?
Yeah.
So she went to the advanced
SBB.
level.
Oh, it means, yes, advanced. Oh, I'm sorry. SBB stands for Specialist in Blood Banking. Yes. So that's like the advanced level. It's comparable to actually obtaining a master's. It's a very difficult exam. The pass rate is like 42%. Yes. It's very advanced. Yes. And to see her go from 5 out of 10 to now in an SBB program is remarkable. Now she's training other students. I'm really happy about that. All it takes is just that one mentor, someone to believe in you. And I try to inflict that on my staff. Life is bigger than just the bench. I want you to go out there and achieve as much as you can. Build your network. That's what this is about,
Mm-hmm. So for our listeners who are don't know exactly what a medical laboratory scientist is or what we even do, can you give the listeners some insight into our profession and kind of walk them through a day in your shoes, especially working in the blood bank or transfusion medicine?
Okay, so many times, I go, I'm a medical laboratory scientist. The eyes widen up, right? And they go, whoa, what is that? Right? And I say, okay, when you go to the doctor and you get your blood drawn, they go, oh, you draw blood? I said, no. That is a phlebotomist. And let me tell you, those are kind of the unsung heroes of this field. You hear me? Phlebotomists out there, you are one of a kind because I could not do your job. Okay? That is, listen, you are the first person that sees a patient and gets the specimen, and I applaud you. I do. So, of course, I clear them up and I say, no, I'm not a phlebotomist. I'm the actual person that's in the laboratory that's actually doing all of your testing. They're like, what? I said, yes. Think about it. You ever say to yourself, oh, your specimen is sent off to the lab. What is that? What is that? Do people work there? You ever said to yourself, is it a black box? Does the doctor do it? What happened? No. The doctor does not do any testing. Okay? It's the clinical laboratory scientists that are in the lovely laboratory that perform all the tests. And it's extensive studying that they had to go through. Like I said before, the prerequisite, in other words, I'm not in the program yet, I have to have organic chemistry. Alongside that, in the program, I completed not one microbiology class, but 5. Yes, it's extensive. I have to know the physiology from your head to your toe. Yes, I need to know it all so that when I am performing these tests, it actually makes sense. The results, I can correlate it. And the doctor can then go on and diagnose you. Without us, 70% of our results basically demonstrates the diagnosis for a patient. 70%. That's not 25. That's 70%. It's so crazy. I actually saw somebody post online tonight, and there's a group chat on Facebook that we have, and it's called Medical Laboratory Scientist ASCP. And there was a night scientist that was working on a specimen, and come to find out, the patient has malaria. Now, this person is in Maine. Malaria is not endemic to the U.S., but she found it, and the pathologist confirmed it. In our world, that is so big because it could have been easily missed by anyone, but she saw it, so she should be commended for finding that, most definitely. And, of course, everybody in the group was just giving her praise, And I love the camaraderie in that sense. We save patients' lives. Without our results, basically the doctor is guessing. So we are influential to the medical industry, most definitely. So in terms of a day in my life, well, I'm the evening shift supervisor. So, yes, usually at this time I am at work. So my hours are between 3 and 11, and on some days they're 2 to 10:30. So I cover the evening and the night shifts. So both shifts are for me. Now, majority of people have heard of people who have cancer and they have leukemia, or let's say sickle cell or thalassemia, or people who are in traumas, let's say car accidents, or one that I just had on Sunday, which I commended my team about, gunshot wounds, things of that nature. They all come to the blood bank. Now, where I work is Tampa General Hospital. It is a 1,016-bed, yes, institution.
Wow.
Yes, we are trauma level 1. Yes, we have 2 helipads. Okay, we are on an island, so we're also accessible via Coast Guard. Yes. We do transplants, and when I say transplants, I mean liver, lung, and heart. Okay? And last but not least, we have a sickle cell clinic. And, of course, we do nothing but high-risk OBs, right? So, yeah, all that hard stuff, difficult, it comes to us. Yes. My team is dynamic, and they love what they do, and they work hard every single day, and I commend them for it. So, for instance, let's say Monday that just passed. Come in, and I say hello to everyone, see what's going on from the shift before. Is there anything that I need to know? And they let me know. After I go to the back and speak to all of the scientists, I come up to the front and I speak to my lab assistant. That's another dynamic of the lab that does not get much shine. The lovely lab assistants, they work very, very hard, especially when we have traumas. They're issuing all of that blood out, and I told you it's 1,016 bed, so it's always busy, but they take their job in stride and with grace, which I appreciate. I go up there and I see what's going on, is there anything I need to know, and then lastly, I speak to the day shift manager so that she can let me know anything. And, of course, I was told about Sunday. Sunday, a 20-year-old male came in with a gunshot wound to the abdomen, and we had 18 rounds of an MTP. So what does that mean? MTP stands for Massive Transfusion Protocol, okay? Now, we set up coolers because blood and plasma needs to be kept at a certain temperature, usually 1 to 10 degrees. So we set up coolers for transportation. And in each cooler, there needs to be 6 units of blood, 4 units of plasma, and then 1 unit of platelet, which is not in the cooler because that needs to be kept outside at room temp. So there were 18 rounds of that. When we counted up the amount, yes. And this is on a Sunday. We're not fully staffed on Sundays. And this is at night. I'm talking like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And I'm telling you, my team, we got so much praise, even up to today, from the hospital about how we handled it. And I commended them as soon as they came in that night. So 18 rounds. So as soon as one goes out, they get the next one going. We don't stop until the doctor says stop. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. As you know, everything needs to be checked, right? Everything needs to be perfect. There can't be any mistakes. So, yeah. So that's like a day in life.
So you were under pressure, and again, one mistake, especially in the blood bank, it could be critical to somebody's life. 18, that's a lot.
Yes, that was the world record I've ever seen. 18 rounds. I mean, I clapped them. I was like, you guys are amazing. And it was just like, I think there were only 4 scientists that were on that shift. And like I said, we weren't fully staffed. It's a Sunday, But they made it happen.
So those are some of the things that, people don't realize, when they come to the hospital, especially during those traumas, during those high-risk OB and mom, needs blood. They don't realize how tirelessly the lab is working and has fast and have to keep that quality there to make sure that lives are saved. Because on a Sunday, 18 rounds of blood products and you got limited staffing, that tech was tired and all they could think about at the end of the day was saving this 20-year-old. So that's pretty powerful. So those of you who know lab people realize that even though you don't see us, we are trying to make sure we keep you healthy from the lab perspective and save your life. So, Tiffany, leaders come from all walks of life. They have all different skills and different strengths. What skills and strengths do you possess that you think have been the most important on your laboratory and leadership journey?
So, when I started my position at Tampa General, I said to myself, you know what? I always said that I was not going to be the predictable leader. I was going to be totally different than my predecessors. And that is not to say that my predecessors were bad. Not at all. I just think of management in a different light. So upon me going into this position, I made sure to have a one-on-one with every single staff member that I'm responsible for. So they know my story and I know their story. And after that, I also asked them some questions. I asked them, so what is truly getting on your nerves here? What would you like to change? That gives me insight as to what's really going on behind the scenes, right? That also lets them know that, I'm pretty much real, and I'm going to try my best to make necessary changes. If I see more than one person is saying the same thing, correct?
Right.
So I made sure to have that, and the last thing I asked them was, me as your supervisor, what are your expectations of me? So that let me know what's important to them, as well as they also see, oh, she really sees me as a person. There are many times where you say, oh, my management, I'm just a body. They just want to cover the shift. I'm not really a person here. No. All my staff members will tell you, I am here to listen to you. Even if you want to cry, that's fine. Because apart from working here and dedication and diligent every single day, you have life outside of work, right? And sometimes they mix. Sometimes they mix. So if I come in and I see that you're really, really quiet, or you have that sad look on your face, I'm going to take you in my office and say, hey, what's going on? So to me, it's like being in tune with your staff members is very important. Communication. And, I would just like to highlight a colleague that actually I met on LinkedIn. Her name is Crystal McMullen, and she basically gave me this lovely tool. One day we were just having a chat, and she was like, Tiffany, every 3 months I have a one-on-one with all my staff. I said, that's genius. I don't think that when it becomes performance appraisal time, which it is right now, actually, right? I don't think that that's the time I should tell you what you've been doing wrong all year. That's not fair. That doesn't give you a chance to improve. So if I touch base with you once every quarter, I can tell you about your attendance and your tardies, right? And how we need to work on that. Or if you're doing great at that, commend you for that and, continue to go on that path. And we can touch on where you're struggling and what I can do to help you, succeed. So I'm telling you, your network is very important. And I told her the other day, I actually thanked her for that. She was like, really? I didn't even know I did that. So see how you can be so powerful.
Awesome. That is very wise. I do those check-ins as well, because you really do get a feel of what your team is doing. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and that's a fact.
Yeah, I like that. Yes, I need to write that down. I like that.
You can just give me credit the first time, and then you can use it as your own going forward. Can you share with the listeners about your experience serving as a global consultant with ASCP in Swaziland, Africa, teaching phlebotomy and lab safety techniques to the personnel?
Oh, yes, that was life-changing. Got the opportunity, like I said, with Kathleen Finnegan, to go out to Swaziland, and it was 18 hours. Yes, I was going to the other side of the world. It was July, and, of course, it was hot, sweltering hot in New York City. And when we got to Swaziland, it was their spring. So they were wearing hats and sweaters. For us, it was like 60 degrees. It was perfect. It was perfect. And they were complaining that it's cold, it's winter. So that in its own was like totally different. But the experience, I'm telling you, it was by God again. Kathleen knew that I wanted to work for the CDC. So there was this internship, I think it still exists, and it's called the Emerging Infectious Disease, and it's through the CDC and the American Public Health Laboratories. It's a training program for 2 years. And I signed up for it, and I got an interview, and they flew me out to Atlanta and put me in a hotel, and I touched the CDC land. You hear me? I mean, I did the interview, and I don't think I did bad on the interview, to be honest. I don't think I'm bad at interviewing, but I didn't get the position. When I tell you I was distraught, oh, I cried so bad. Of course, my mom was like, it's okay. Maybe it's a good thing. Why the one daughter that I have wants to go save the world? It's okay. Just stay here. But I was distraught. And, I told Kathleen, I was like, I didn't get it. And I was crying, of course. And she goes, well, Tiff, you never know. When one door closes, another one opens. She always goes, actually, to Africa, to different countries, through the PEPFAR initiative with ASCP. And she said, well, Tiffany, maybe you can come to Africa with me. I said, what? Oh, my gosh, give me all the vaccines. I'm ready. Let's go. She said, hold on. Let me call ASCP and see if it's okay. So she called them, and they gave her the green light, and I went for all my vaccines. Now, this is all in a month. I'm interviewing for a job. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm getting all my vaccines, and I'm studying for my ASCP certification, all in 1 month. And then she said to me, oh, yeah, by the way, Tiffany, when are you taking your ASCP? And I said, July 28th, 2007, right? And she said, okay, great, because we fly out the 29th. Did you hear me?
Oh, my goodness.
What? And then she goes, you got to pass, right? I was like, Kathy, are you sure I can do it? And she was like, stop it. I believe in you. I would not put this pressure on you if I didn't believe in you. You're going to pass. That I know. And that was it. I kid you not. That you have to have someone who believes in you. And that's what she did. And I'm telling you, I call her my mother. Up to this day, I actually saw her last week in Miami at a leadership forum. And, I love this woman so much. I owe her so much. So we went down to Swaziland, and I taught phlebotomy and laboratory techniques, safety. And, of course, as you know, I just said, God bless the phlebotomist, right? So I wasn't a stellar student, okay? I wasn't a stellar student when it came onto phlebotomy, but I knew the basics. And at the time, the reason that it was so pertinent for us to go out there was because in 2007, with a population of like 1 million, Swaziland's HIV prevalence rate was about 26%. And we're talking adult ages between 15 and 49 years of age. That's high. So that's telling me that people who were in these seminars that we had, a lot of them were HIV positive. So then we did some research and found out that at that time they were like recapping needles. This is 2007, still recapping needles? And if anyone knows, that is such a no-no. Now if you get your blood drawn, as soon as they're done, they just throw it in the biohazard, right? There's no recapping, no needles, nothing like that. So luckily we were down there with BD, and BD, they were able to show them new vacuumators and new equipment that's out here that all you have to do is just hit the needle on a hard surface and then throw it in the biohazard sharps container. And it was like a new day. And through that, we also met with the Minister of Health, and policy was changed. So when I saw that, I said to myself, that's what I need to go get, my master's in public health. Nothing changes without policy. Any laboratorian will tell you, what do we live by? Policy and procedures, okay? That's what we live by, okay? Is it in the SOP? That's what we live by, okay? So nothing changes without policy changing. So with one strike of a pen, I can change a community. That's powerful. So that's what led me to do it. But my experience, I'm telling you, so at the time, I was younger, and a lot of students that were in the class, they looked at me, and I'll never forget one gentleman. He came up to me. He goes, "My sister, I'm so happy that you're here with us. Oh, my gosh, my sister, you're so young," right? Excuse me. And I said, "Yes, my sister, you'd be great for our king." I said, "What?" Right? At the time, and even now, they have a monarchy, so they have kings and queens in this country. I kid you not. I said, "You're king." "Yes, you would make wife number 13. I said, "What?" He said, "But you have one problem." I said, "What's my problem?" He said, "Your neck is too short." I said, "What?" "Yes, he likes women with long necks." So you see women in the villages with rings around their necks to lengthen their neck. I kid you not. I kid you not. But, yes, it was like a culture shock, but it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I remember we went and toured the hospital, and I actually saw someone in real life with elephantitis. Can you imagine? So the way how a person gets this is through a mosquito bite. But the mosquito is actually that was infected by a parasitic worm. And then that is then transferred to the person. So it's like the person has a leg that is 4 to 5 times bigger than their normal size leg. It looks like serious swelling. And I remember the patient outside the hospital, and I looked at Kathleen, and Kathleen looked at me like, wow. So, I tell people, listen, the things that you complain about here in the United States of America, they are minuscule. You hear me? Minuscule. Are we perfect here in the U.S.? No, we're not. However, I've been outside the country, and I'm telling you, we have it pretty good. We do. We have a lot to be thankful for.
That is awesome. Being able to go over to Africa and be able to change the lives of those scientists so that they can continue to fight is pretty outstanding. So what's next for you, Tiffany? What's next for you personally and professionally?
Well, I was so blessed to be engaged. Yes.
Woo-hoo. Congratulations.
Yes, put a ring on it. Yes. December 1st, I got engaged, and I'm so happy. So we're moving on with that. And, I'd like to have children. So personally, that's what we're striving for. But professionally, I've been in the field almost 12 years, and I need to get my specialist in blood banking, that certification that I spoke about earlier. So that's the other thing that I need to get to. I need to get that under my belt. And, I'd love to be a director or a manager of a lab one day, and I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere that it's going to happen.
They say write the vision, make it plain. So if you put it out into the atmosphere and do the work, it will happen for you. You are a go-getter. So I'm sure that you will that you will get there. So Tiffany, how can our listeners stay connected with you and support you in your efforts?
Well, I am on Facebook. You can just look at search my name, Tiffany Channer, and you can reach me that way. I'm also on LinkedIn, and you can find me there as well. And I'm always available. There are many people that have actually seen my picture, because my picture is actually on ASCP website. It's ascp.org. And my picture is under the careers banner. And I've had many individuals actually reach out to me just because they saw my picture. I'm so serious. And I have blossomed a lot of friendships through that way. You know, I tell them, hey, I do better with a conversation over the phone. I had one individual ask me, oh, why did I go for my MPH? And she is a tech herself, and what led me to do that? I said, hey, here's my number. I'm not going to do all this emailing. Here's my number. Let's have a conversation. And I was able to guide her. So, you know, I'm available. I am available for mentoring. Like I said before, a mentor is essential to progress, essential. So I tell people who want to excel, you have to have mentors. Have to.
Well, that is awesome, Tiffany. Of course, we could talk all day, and you know, I could listen to you all day, and you are very true to that. You definitely do mentoring. You are definitely good with connecting one professional to the next professional, and you are definitely an advocate and a champion for ASCP, which is powerful. And so I thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to give me the opportunity to interview you tonight. It was definitely an honor and a pleasure to have you as a guest, to have my fellow sister scientists on the line with me this evening. So many blessings and continued success to you in your journey in both your personal and professional endeavors.
Thank you so much, Tywauna. Thank you so, so much. And as you know, we will be doing some more of this. This is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning. You are very right. So thank you. So I want to thank you, the listening audience, for tuning in to tonight's show with our special guest, Miss Tiffany Channer, where she shared with us that life is so much bigger than working on the bench. And that can be used as a metaphor for a lot of things. But from the lab perspective, there's more to what we do than working on the bench. Take time to know your team and for them to know you. So as leaders, as good leaders, it's very important for us to know our teams. It's very important for us to be accessible. And mentorship is important. Having a mentor is essential to your life, to your progress. So a mentor is critical. Have someone who believes in you. Sometimes when you don't believe in yourself, you need to have that person who's a champion for you, who's rooting for you, who's exposing you to things that you didn't even know was possible. And last but not least, nothing changes without policy. And that's not limited to the lab. You have to think about that in context of the world. Policy changes things. So if you are interested in being a guest on this show, starting your own radio show, or low-cost advertising highlighting your business or events, please email us at dibroadcasting@trendylletellc.com. And please tune in next week to hear from another amazing leader. Until then, my friends, have a good evening.
Thank you, friends, for tuning in to another episode of Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson, where Tywauna speaks with leaders who share nuggets of wisdom that you can use in your personal and professional life. Follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Coach T. Wilson. Connect on LinkedIn or visit www.coachtwilson.com. And remember, in life, learn as much as you can, appreciate often, and lead fearlessly.